What's poppin', guys? Welcome back to Sam Talk Sports. Tomorrow is the 2022 NFL playoffs, and I've been a huge fan of the NFL for the past decade of my life, and I just kind of figured this is the year that I'm going to make some playoff predictions. I'm going to look at the matchup between two teams and just give some of my thoughts about the strengths and weaknesses of each team and who I think ultimately will move on into playoffs. Alright, so first off, we got the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is a really exciting matchup for me because I feel like when the season began, nobody really expected the Raiders or the Bengals to make the playoffs. And that, now they're here, and especially the Raiders, what an impressive ride. They're 10-7 this season, and I remember watching that last game against the Chargers. Wow. Like, the fact that they're able to win 4 straight to end the season, to squeak into the playoffs is huge for them, especially since I think this is just their second playoff appearance since I think 2015, and they haven't won a playoff game in 19 years. And then on the other side of the story, you've got the Bengals, who have not won a playoff game since 1990. That's crazy. That's like over 31 years. They're also 10-7. Joe Burrow, what a comeback season for him. I think he definitely should be in the running for comeback player of the year. And so when I look at this matchup, I think in the quarterback position, I've got to give the advantage to Joe Burrow of Cincinnati. Derek Carr, he's been around for like 8-9 years. He is, I think, a very solid quarterback, but Joe Burrow has been on fire this year, especially with wide receiver Jamar Chase. That 1-2 connection is huge. Rushing game, I think both of the teams are quite solid. And if we dig a little bit deeper, the Raiders are 5-3 when they're playing away. Bengals surprisingly just 5-4 at home. But in the playoffs, especially with such a raucous atmosphere, I think the advantage will have to go to the Cincinnati Bengals, even though their home record isn't that great. And yeah, I love going on ESPN to look at all the scores and stuff like that. So just reading through the preview here, you can see how big of a matchup this is for both sides because they simply haven't been able to win games in the playoffs. So somebody will win. One team will win out of these two tomorrow. And I think that's so exciting for these two fan bases because they've been suffering through so much heartbreak in the playoffs. And interestingly, when I look at the standings in the NFL, I always feel like point differential is a huge indicating factor of whether a team will be competitive and be able to win these crucial games in playoffs. And as you look at the Las Vegas Raiders, yeah, they're 10-7. It's real solid win percentage at 0.588, but their difference is a -65 shockingly, while the Bengals, they're a +84. So once again, advantage Bengals. Let's dig a little bit deeper, look at the stats of the Raiders. Like I mentioned before, Derek Carr, he's a quarterback I really trust, especially with all the turmoil the Raiders have had to experience throughout this whole entire season. The fact that they're able to, be in the playoffs right now is super impressive. And I want to point out Hunter Renfrow because I've been watching this guy play and he is incredible, and I think it's really surprising how his connection with Derek Carr, let's dig a little bit deeper. Renfrow, if you look at his stats, they've been really solid, and he has only played with the Raiders for 3 years. So I think the X factor of this game for the Raiders is definitely whether Hunter Renfrow is able to surpass 100 yards. I think if he is able to surpass 100 yards, then that would kind of signify that Derek Carr is on top of his game, and then I feel like that will allow the Raiders offense to open up, especially the run game. And if you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, I mentioned before, Joe Burrow. He has been incredible this season, ever since that gruesome leg injury. The fact that he's able to recover and play, like, I'd say he's arguably a top 10, even made close to a top 5 quarterback this season. And like I mentioned before, Jamar Chase, it's wild. 13 touchdowns this year, 1,455 yards. But you go down the wide receiver list, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, 1,091 yards, 828 yards. The list goes on. I think the Bengals offense is going to be too lethal for the Raiders to contain. And if you look at the standings, the Raiders allowed 439 points this season. That is not a good sign, especially when facing such a potent offense like the Bengals, who has scored 460 points this year. And look at the defense. numbers for the Bengals. They only allowed 376. The Raiders only scored 374. So I think, once again, the Bengals overall just looks like a more complete team, and I think their offense will be able to carry them throughout each of the quarters. Yeah, the Raiders might make a run in one of the quarters, but overall, you give the team 60 minutes. I like the Bengals' chances at home, and I'm going to pick the Bengals. Should I give it a score? You know what? Why not? I think the Bengals will win rather comfortably, at least by over 10 points. So it's going to be a close game throughout, but in the fourth quarter, I feel like Joe Burrow is just going to take over and bring home the win for the Bengals. So yeah, my final prediction for the Bengals versus Raiders matchup is Bengals by a comfortable margin. And yeah, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are regarding this matchup. I'm really excited to see some playoff football. And man, tomorrow, I'm really digging this Super Wildcard weekend. 6 amazing matchups. I can't wait.